What's going on, everyone? This is the Wrestling Old Head. Happy New Year to you and yours wherever you are at. Is Jeff Jarrett going to retire this year? Chris Jericho, is he going to be in the WWE? Will we see a UFC fighter in the WWE? All this and much more as we predict what's going to happen in the year 2026. Stick around, you guys. So, here in the portal of pro wrestling, 2025 was an interesting year. Definitely polarizing, to say the least. If you ask one half of the wrestling community, they said 2025 was probably one of the most lackluster years in professional wrestling since 2019. If you ask the other side, there are a few people that absolutely loved it. For me, 2025 was ebbs and flows, ups and downs. There were definitely some moments that stuck out, and if you look up above towards the end of the video, you will see my year in review for professional wrestling. All of that was done off the top of my head, and if I can recall, I definitely missed the Cody Rhodes Kevin Owens ladder match from the Royal Rumble at the beginning of the year. That was a match that definitely stuck out for me. I can remember a few of the beats, especially Kevin Owens going through the ladder and getting folded like a pretzel. It was amazing. One of the matches that definitely stood out and set the tone for the beginning of the year. So I did forget to bring that up, but definitely up there as one of the highlights of 2025. Now, 2025 in total, like I said, has ebbs and flows, ups and downs. There were some great moments. There were some moments that I believe fell flat. And I think the prevailing subject of 2025, the word that I would use to describe 2025 was pivot. There was a lot of pivots in professional wrestling all across the board. If you're an AEW fan or if you're a WWE fan, one thing that you can't deny was that the top brass in the companies, they had to shuffle things around. They had to pivot because of injury, because some people couldn't show up, some people bowed out, whatever it was. There was definitely some things that had to get moved around, some plans that had to get deferred, had to get pushed to the side. Goalposts were moved because of one thing or another that happened. Politics, injuries, you name it. In 2026, I definitely expect that there will, I would hope not, but there may be some injuries. There may be some things, and hopefully the only thing that I can hope for is that the bookers, that the guys that are in charge of creative are preparing for things like that to happen, and that will pivot accordingly in a way that's a little bit more smooth than what happened in 2025. That's my only criticism for 2025. I mean, professional wrestling is subjective, right? So there's going to be some things that I like that you probably don't like. There's going to be some things that you like that I probably won't remember after a year or two. That's just the way professional wrestling works. That's why I love it, and that's why I keep tuning in and day out as the years have progressed for 4 decades or so. So professional wrestling is one of those things where you've got to expect the unexpected, and some things are going to happen that just are not planned, and you got to roll with it as a fan and as creative. So as a fan, I'm going to talk and discuss about 2026 and where I see certain events happening. Some predictions, some bold predictions, if I do say so myself. And I get really bold with some of these predictions, so you got to stick around for that. If you're new around here, stay true around here and go ahead and hit the subscribe button, thumbs up on the notifications. Let me know what you are predicting for the year 2026. So let's get into it. One of the things that I definitely feel like is going to happen in 2026, we're going to start with the MFT. This is the stable that was put together after the Bloodline dissolved, and Solo Sikoa brought in a group of guys that were sort of connected by family relations, but definitely not blood. You've got Tala Tonga, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa, all brothers, all connected to Ming, aka Haku. Those are sort of related to the Sikoas, the Fatus, the Anuais, and it's mostly due to being an uncle. Haku was brought in as the uncle, quote unquote, for Rikishi. So there is a tie-in, but it's mostly like a family friend that's bound by a family dynamic friendship. So they're not blood. Another guy that is in the MFT is Jeff Cobb, who's known as JC Mateo. No relation as far as I'm concerned, even by friendship or anything. Only thing is that he's Tongan. So the prevailing idea here for the MFT is that it's a bunch of Tongans led by a Samoan in Solo Sikoa. Now, Solo Sikoa is starting to come into his own as a character. He's starting to get a lot more entertaining, and the fans really enjoy some of the things that he says when he gets on the mic. I think he's finding his groove. But the one thing that I can definitely say that I'm sure you can all agree with is that he's not really a leader. He's not there yet. And he's got these rebels behind him. They wear the war face paint and they come in and they do his bidding, but they're not a part of the family. And I think one of the biggest stories that can come out of this is when the Tongans, when the four rebel members of the MFT decide that they no longer want to be led by Solo Sikoa. And I think we're going to see it in 2026. And the way that I see it playing out, these guys all have something in common. Tonga, Tala, Tama, Jeff Cobb, they all have one thing in common. They were all a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They were part of different stables. I believe Jeff Cobb was a part of the United Kingdom, and I believe Tala, Tama, and Tonga were a part of the Bullet Club for a while there. And I believe Tala, off the top of my head, might have been a part of another group in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, but I just don't know the name off the top of my head. Could have been House of Torture, but I'm not really sure off the top of my head. And so you NJPW fans, let me know in the comments what stable Tala Tonga was a part of when he was Hikuleu. So them being a part of New Japan, there's a bond there, and that separates them a lot from Solo. So I think that now that they're in the WWE, and you know, one of the stories going is that these guys were too crazy for the WWE. They were not supposed to be in the WWE, but the gates were open and they came through, and they've been causing chaos. So once the story between the Wyatt Six and MFTs starts to dissipate in 2026, look for the MFT, as far as I am predicting, to turn on Solo. So when Solo is kicked out of the group and he's no longer a part of the group, the MFT are going to need a mouthpiece, because as far as like the Tongaloa, Tama Tonga, Tala, and Jeff Cobb, I don't see anyone aside from Tama, who I think is pretty good on the mic. There's no one that I think could carry a promo, especially in the ring. These guys are henchmen. These guys are mercenaries. So I don't know if they're going to bring in someone to manage them or help, get them over after Solo bows out. But with Solo being out of the group, Solo is going to be left alone. And I believe you're going to see a turn for Solo Sikoa. I believe Solo Sikoa is probably going to become a good guy. And when the chips are down and this group that he brought in, his friends, turn on him, the only place that he can turn to after that is family. And that's when I believe, in my opinion, he's going to go grab his big brothers, the Usos. And once he grabs the Usos, I see it clearly that we may see like some pseudo bloodline reunion where, just like any Fast and Furious movie that you've seen, when your friends turn on you, you got to go with your family. It's all about family. So Solo aligns with the Usos to help thwart these rebel mercenaries that have come in and tried to take over the WWE. So in 2026, the MFT will turn on Solo Sikoa, and I believe Solo will reunite with his big brothers, the Usos. Let's switch gears and go to AEW for a second. One of the biggest things about AEW is the fact that some people just kind of like drift off into the shadows, be it an injury, be it contract disputes. Maybe Tony Khan just doesn't have anything for them and he's waiting for the right moment to bring them back. Guys like Keith Lee, Danhausen, Adam Cole, who we've all known he's probably not coming back anytime soon, although I would love to see Adam Cole come back in a color commentator role or even as a manager until maybe, if possible, he can get back in the ring. Guys like Adam Cole and Chris Bay, I'm praying for. Like, I really hope that at some point they can realize their dream and come back to the ring, but I know that health is the most important thing to a professional wrestler, and that is what I'm hoping for. Is I'm praying for their health above all else. Chris Bay, I believe, can do color commentary, as well as Adam Cole. I believe he could come back and do color commentary. Guys like Keith Lee and Danhausen, not sure what's going to happen. In fact, my prediction is Danhausen will more than likely show up in the WWE. But let's shift back to the AEW for just a second. We'll talk about Danhausen later on, and I'm going to talk about another return, someone that's been out for upwards of over a year now that we will see return in AEW, and that is Britt Baker, DMD. I believe she makes her triumphant return to the AEW and gets involved in the women's division once again. Now, who she starts a program with, that is an interesting question. I do believe when she comes back, the roof is going to blow off of that place. She is definitely, to me, she is better as a bad girl, more so than a good girl. But I think that she is going to return, and of course she's going to get that return pop. I think eventually she will start to fall in to a feud with Jamie Hayter, a feud that started to bubble but never really got going, whether it was Jamie Hayter getting injured or Britt Baker getting injured, and it just never materialized. But I do believe we see Britt Baker make her return to the AEW, and I believe it's going to happen as early as January of 2026. The AEW women's division is on fire right now. Say what you will about the product and about creative, there is a ton of talent in the AEW women's division, and I believe adding someone like Britt Baker is only going to help bolster that. So I predict you see Britt Baker back in AEW. Let's stick with AEW for a second, and we're going to talk about the Death Riders, another polarizing group in professional wrestling. A lot of people, including AEW faithful, the sickos, are not too pleased with the direction of the Death Riders and them sticking around. So in 2026, I believe the Death Riders, as we know it, will change. Whether it is that the Death Riders kick out Jon Moxley or Jon Moxley decides to go out on his own, I believe Jon Moxley is going to go out for a while and then he's going to come back as a good guy. I think that Jon Moxley's time as a heel has come to his end, and I believe that in 2026 we will see Jon Moxley as a fan favorite once again. As far as the Death Riders go, you can see Pac or maybe Claudio Castagnoli take the reins of what is remaining of the Death Riders. I can certainly see that. But as far as turning the entire Death Riders into fan favorites, these guys tried to unalive a lot of wrestlers in AEW. Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson come to mind off the top of my head. I don't know if the idea would be to switch them over to fan favorite. I don't know how some of the fans would take that. So in my opinion, I believe that Jon Moxley will be the one that goes and becomes a fan favorite, and whatever remains of the Death Riders, maybe they implode. Maybe Daniel Garcia and Claudio Castagnoli go one way and Pac and Wheeler Yuta go the other way. I do believe that Jon Moxley will go out on his own as a loner and return to the fan favorite Jon Moxley that came into AEW. Back to the WWE. There's a lot of rumors about who is going to retire in the WWE. You saw this year alone, Goldberg and John Cena bow out. They had their final matches in the WWE. With Goldberg, I can certainly see him coming back when they go to Saudi Arabia, but for John Cena, he definitely left no stone unturned. He left no trace of a comeback. He effectively killed off his character. He is done as the character John Cena. The next time we see John Cena, it might be on a podium where he accepts his Hall of Fame, or it might be for a special event. He might give a pep talk to a younger talent. We might see him in NXT, but as far as it goes with John Cena, I believe he's done. Other wrestlers that have been rumored to be retiring are AJ Styles, who has said as much. He has definitely confirmed that. So in 2026, I believe we are either going to see the retirement or a considered retirement as far as Randy Orton, the Hardys, Brock Lesnar, Chris Jericho, Jeff Jarrett, and R-Truth. I believe those are probably going to either retire or start the process of retiring in 2026. And speaking of Brock Lesnar, I believe Brock Lesnar will have his match with Gunther, although I don't believe it's going to happen at WrestleMania. In fact, I believe it's going to happen at SummerSlam. Now, you remember when Brock Lesnar really started to get into the main event caliber, started to really set stone that he was going to take on the top in the WWE division and become a world champion. It was when he beat The Rock at SummerSlam. So I believe that the tables will turn and you will see Brock Lesnar give a passing of the torch to Gunther. And how fitting would it be if it happened at SummerSlam? So my prediction for 2026 is Gunther will wrestle Brock Lesnar. As far as the other ones that I mentioned, like the Hardys, for instance, I understand they re-signed with TNA, so they're going to be around for a little bit longer. However, I do feel that we are gearing up for a Hardys retirement tour. Whether that retirement tour begins at the tail end of 2026 or the beginning of 2027, you will start to see the rumors, and you will start to see Jeff and Matt themselves start to mention that they have accomplished all they can accomplish in professional wrestling, and they're going to be headed out really soon. So my prediction for the Hardys in 2026 is this is probably their last full-time year as a tag team in professional wrestling, with Jeff Jarrett over at the AEW side. Obviously, Jeff Jarrett is not a part of the WWE. It doesn't look like he's going to be in the WWE in some capacity anytime soon. He is a part of All Elite Wrestling. So I believe that, he had the start of a retirement with a program with MJF. That fizzled out for whatever reason, and they never revisited that. So I do believe in 2026, Jeff Jarrett will get his final chance to bow out gracefully with a retirement. Now, is that a part of AEW? Is that a part of Ring of Honor? Maybe it's a part of another company. That remains to be seen, but I do believe that Jeff Jarrett will have an opportunity to have one final match in professional wrestling, whether that's under the umbrella of AEW or an independent promotion, or maybe just a one-night supercard show where there are wrestlers from all over the world that come together to celebrate Jeff Jarrett's career. That remains to be seen, but my prediction for 2026 with Jeff Jarrett is we will see him in the ring again in the form of a retirement match. Some of the other guys like Randy Orton, I don't think we're going to see Randy Orton in a full-time capacity in 2026. He's kind of been in the shadows lately. We haven't seen much of him. I think he left in the summer, and we haven't seen him since, right? I believe it was the summer, tail end of the summer, somewhere around there. I do believe Randy Orton is going to make returns, but I believe it's going to be on a semi-active basis. We will see Randy Orton when the time is right, when the program is right, and I do believe we may see a heel turn for Randy Orton as well. One of the hints, the biggest hints of this heel turn for Randy Orton was Jacob Fatu's injury. Jacob Fatu was ruled out. He had blood coming out of his mouth. I do believe it's possible that it can be revealed that it was Randy Orton. Randy Orton did that to help Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes is not going to be happy with the way that Randy Orton decided to help him out by attacking Jacob Fatu, and I also believe that's going to lead to a Randy Orton heel turn. Another telltale hint or a sign that Randy Orton might be going onto the heel side of things is that he was not around for the John Cena retirement tour. Now, I do realize that he was doing some, publicity in Saudi Arabia, as well as Alexa Bliss and a few other people that were there, so there is an excuse in that front, but I believe that legitimate reason for him not being a part of that final hurrah for John Cena can be turned into a very effective storyline. That storyline being, why celebrate John Cena when you have me. And that jealousy of that John Cena retirement, capped on with his extreme friendship with Cody Rhodes, turning into maybe the voices telling him to do certain things, can be a very interesting twist for Randy Orton in 2026. And so I do believe we will be seeing a different side of Randy Orton, or maybe the reemergence of the side of Randy Orton that we know and love, with the voices that are calling him in 2026. Now, I don't believe he's going to retire, but just as I was stating with the others, I believe this could be a considered retirement, which means that maybe it's not going to be in 2026, but by 2027, 2028, we may be seeing the last of Randy Orton as an active competitor. Now, here is the bold predictions that you've all been waiting for. Bold prediction number 1, Nick Aldis is going to be wrestling in a ring. The guy's jacked. He's super in shape right now. If you've seen him during the home invasion angle that they cut with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, the guy's in fighting shape. He looks like he's ready to go. There have been hints of some sort of in-ring action in regards to him and Drew McIntyre, and even recently as regards to him and Cody Rhodes. And so I do believe in 2026, Nick Aldis is going to step in the ring. It could be a one-off. It could just be one opportunity for him to shed the authority figure role for just a second to get in the ring and handle some business. So there's no favoritism, and there's no, bitter, animosity that's hanging around while he's trying to conduct his business. When Nick Aldis gets in the ring, I believe the best candidate for him would be a Drew McIntyre, but I think Cody Rhodes, given the history that Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis have, would be a good choice. I think that would be a great match, and I do think that that's one of the best dance partners that Nick Aldis has had since he was an active competitor. His match that he had with Cody Rhodes at the very first AEW All In was a classic. Or was it the first All In? Yeah, Double or Nothing was Cody and Dustin, so yeah, that would have been All In, I believe. Don't hold me to that. But it wasn't AEW's All In, it was a Ring of Honor special All In. It was the Supercard, where they had 10,000 fans, and Nick Aldis, I believe, defended his NWA World Championship against Cody. So I think that would be a great opportunity to put that match under the WWE banner for just a one night only. We could be seeing that regardless of who his opponent is going to be. My prediction for 2026 stands that it's going to be Nick Aldis wrestling in at least one match in the WWE. Now, Seth Rollins is slated to make his return to the WWE in 2026, sometime around there, whether it's before WrestleMania or thereafter. I do believe that when Seth Rollins comes back, he is going to be a fan favorite. His target is going to be the Vision. Whether they have Logan Paul, Austin Theory, the Bronze, and Paul Heyman, that remains to be seen. He is going to be coming back looking for revenge. In the hopes that he does exact his revenge, he is going to need a tag team partner. Now, CM Punk is, of course, one of the obvious choices there, but they don't really get along, and I don't see that they're going to be wrapping up their storyline anytime soon. Even if they both are fan favorites, I can definitely see Seth Rollins and CM Punk being a tag team, maybe for one night, maybe a part of a six-man, but the real tag team partner that I believe is going to show up and help Seth Rollins and maybe get a handshake out of it is Roman Reigns. That's right. I do believe in 2026, for one night only, we will see the Shield reunite. At least 2/3 of the Shield will reunite for one night only in tag team action, probably against the Bronze, or maybe Braun Breaker and Austin Theory, or Logan Paul. I do believe that the Shield will get back together, and possibly with their entrance as well. That means coming through the crowd, the vests, the whole nine. I believe we might be seeing that as well. Another interesting tidbit that I wanted to bring, or a bold prediction rather, in regards to Roman Reigns, is that this might be the last time we see Roman Reigns as a semi-active competitor in 2026. Now, do I think he's going to be retiring? Not necessarily, but I believe by 2027 and 2028, very similar to Randy Orton, I think the WWE is going to see the value in letting wrestlers have their retirement. I don't know how much more Roman Reigns has in him. He's going to be a full-fledged Hollywood superstar after the Street Fighter movie debuts in the box office, and so I believe that Roman Reigns is close to hanging up the boots, and I do believe by 2027, 2028, he may be a part of his own little retirement tour. That remains to be seen. seen, but that's a bold prediction for me. A little early because I don't think it's going to happen in 2026, but you're going to start to see Roman Reigns tie up the loose ends, complete the stories, like reuniting with Seth Rollins, for instance. Also, a bold prediction is for the WWE Hall of Fame. Demolition, Victoria, Bam Bam Bigelow, Mickie James, and the Nation of Domination. I don't believe they're all going to be in the Hall of Fame, but you're going to get some crop of those types of stars. One of them are going to retire, or going to hit the Hall of Fame, rather, at some point. And I believe at this year's Hall of Fame, you're going to see one of them. The group of the Demolition, the stable of the Nation of Domination, Victoria, Bam Bam Bigelow, or Mickie James, they will be inducted in the Hall of Fame, at least one of them, because I've been terrible as far as Hall of Fame predictions, so I'm hoping that at least one of those that I listed will at least be inducted, because it's about time that we get Demolition in the Hall of Fame. Mickie James and Victoria, they are the cornerstones of the WWE Women's Division, so I hope that they're at least considered for an induction this year as well, because it's a long time coming for them. And as far as the match goes, Hulk Hogan is going to be involved in a Hall of Fame match. I do believe that. Posthumously, whatever that word is, after death, Hulk Hogan, one of these two matches, either Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, which I believe is a favorite for the Hall of Fame ceremony, or The Rock and Hollywood Hogan. But if you're going to do The Rock and Hollywood Hogan, you've got to start with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. So that's the match that I'm predicting for the 2026 Hall of Fame. Now, as far as AEW is concerned, I believe that in 2026, Darby Allin is going to complete his story and win the AEW World Championship. And I can't think of a better superstar for him to beat in AEW than MJF. Those two are AEW diehards. They've been with AEW since the beginning, since before it was even AEW. And so I do believe that Darby Allin will win the AEW World Championship, and my prediction is that he beats MJF. Another prediction as far as AEW goes is that we will see Steve Borden Jr. debut in AEW. Now, my biggest prediction is that he's probably going to have face paint. So I would look out for that. As far as any other prediction off the top of my head, I believe that I've covered it all. I know there's probably going to be some that I missed, and if I did, maybe I'll add it in the comments section down below. So keep your eyes peeled for the comment section. I might pin some that I missed off the top of my head, but I think I covered most of what I'm going to get for this 2026 predictions. I got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that some of those do come true, because I think they would be fascinating, and I look forward to 2026 because I think it is going to be a better year than 2025 all around for professional wrestling. I would say keep your eyes on TNA, keep your eyes on AAA, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah. I think they're all going to have phenomenal years, and I look forward to seeing what AEW has in store and WWE has in store. No matter what side of this fence you swing on as far as a professional wrestling company, what flag you choose to wave, the overall benefit of professional wrestling is when all companies put their best foot forward and do the best creatively, and I think it helps every company. I don't care if you hate WWE. AEW is not going to be great unless they see the competition from the WWE, and vice versa. If you're a WWE fan, it really helps the WWE when AEW does great. So please keep that in mind, you guys. And remember, professional wrestling is entertainment, and as long as you're entertained, then you're having a good time. And I'm always entertained. So guys, thank you again for listening to this predictions for 2026. In the comment section down below, don't be scared, don't be shy. Go ahead and let me know what you think as far as my predictions and what you think is a crazy prediction that's going to happen in 2026. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for coming out to the portal of pro wrestling. I'll see you in the next one. Happy New Year, everyone.